Hey guys, welcome to another video by Empire. Today we're going to be talking about Wonderland time, and we're going to explain why I think that this is the best DAO play currently going at the moment. So anyone that's sort of been around crypto Twitter and YouTube would have heard about all the Olympus DAOs popping off and all the different forks. There seems to be a new Olympus fork popping off every single week at the moment. But with all the news that's come out and with how big time is, I'm going to explain why I think that time is the safest DAO play. That's still going to give you ridiculous returns, right? Because the APY at the moment is 94,000%, which is just under 10% every 5 days. Right? So some of the new forks out there are doing, ridiculous, like 250,000 APY and things like that. But I mean, how much APY do you really want? 10% every 5 days is still ridiculous. And I'm going to explain to you why I think this is a lot safer play and explain a couple of the updates that came out in Daniel's recent interview. So quickly, a few things I want to talk about is why we think this is the best DAO play. So compared to a lot of the new ones, their treasury balance is 772 million. Right? So they hit 500 million start of this month, and the last few weeks that has just shot up to 772. So they're at the point where it's a lot easier for them to use that money to make more money. Right? So he does things like he does some stable coin farming and things like that. And Wonderland is making money every single day, just like Olympus is making money every single day. Right? But the APY on Wonderland is way better than Olympus. So that's why I personally moved my own into Wonderland, just because the APY is so much better. They've got 415 days of runway, so you don't have to worry about, them running out of funds or having to reduce the APY soon. They are going to reduce it when it becomes a DAO. One of the big things I like too is I'm super bullish on crypto gaming, and these guys are going to be getting into crypto gaming. I also think because this is on Avalanche, so the transaction fees are tiny, people can put in $100, $50 a week into this. Okay, whereas things like Ohm, you can't. Right? So Danielle, if you guys haven't watched this interview, this is a great interview to go watch. I watched it from, he started about the 13-minute mark, I think is when he starts talking about Wonderland. But from this point on, I'm not going to play it, but this is where he talks about getting into gaming. Right? So he wants to become the main currency for multiple games. Right? And that makes me even more bullish. So he wants a utility behind it. He obviously wants it to be a great rebase token, the treasury to keep building, but he also wants this to have a lot of utility, all right? So the main reason where Wonderland gets all their money from at the moment, where they get the APY from, is from the bonding. So basically when this is really high, when this is say over 10%, then it's worthwhile to bond. What that means is you send the treasury MIM or AVAX, or you send them these LP tokens. So you send that to the treasury and you buy it at a discount. But what the treasury does is they keep that money and they essentially print out of thin air. They print the tokens that they give you. So because they print you, if you put 50 grand in and you buy it at a discount, they keep that 50 grand and it goes to the treasury. Okay, so you're diluting the supply, but you're giving the treasury way more money. Okay, so when this becomes a DAO, we can eventually decide at a certain point we're going to stop letting people bond, okay, or something like that if we want to. So then the supply is going to stop changing, and we can then just use the treasury funds to make more money and continue giving ourselves an APY with the treasury funds and things like that, all right? It's going to become a DAO, and there's going to be so many different options down the track. But the main thing is what we needed to do first was get that treasury up, which is what we're doing, okay? So one of the things that he said is that he's been talking to Super Farm, and he's been talking to them about integrating with them, becoming partners with them, and lots of other people, right, to get into the gaming space. All right, now Super Farm, okay, I'm not going to go through it too much, but they've got a big following already. They've got 70,000 members in their Telegram, and they're all into NFT and game, all right? So he's been talking to them, they collaborate, they're in bed with Sandbox, Immutable X, all right? There's a million announcements you can read through, but this is one that he mentioned in this interview that he's been talking to them and talking to Elliot, okay, about them. And then Elliot's linked in with a few other people and things like that and other projects. So if he starts really pushing into gaming, obviously he's making the RPG game they've talked about for ages, but he wants to be the base currency for all of them. All right, so that's what I'm bullish on, because he wants to bring real utility to Wonderland. He doesn't just want to be this DAO treasury. He wants to do something different. He wants to bring out and bring all this stuff to it, right? The other thing is he's the same guy behind Abracadabra, which is spell, and he's also the same guy behind other protocols as well, like Popsicle Finance, right? And this is him, right? So he's not doxed, he's not anonymous. He puts himself out there, so he's not going to do a rug pull or something like that when he's putting his face out there. Right? A lot of these other own forks and things like that, there's just all anonymous. Got people that all they have is crypto Twitter accounts. They've got fake Discord accounts, so it's easy for them to rug pull or things like that because they haven't put their face to it. So he's putting his face out there. So the fact that he's willing to put his face out there and he knows so many people are locking up money in it, he's obviously not going to do something to jeopardize him when he's been putting his name out there. Okay, so the other major own forks that I've got a little bit of money in but not as much anymore is klima. All right, now the APY and klima is still great. I think this is still a great own fork because they're doing something different, okay? That what they're doing with their carbon and trying to build the carbon up in the treasury, it's at least a different approach. Because until these protocols have enough money in the treasury to be self-sustainable, they really rely on people continuing to bond. So the more own forks that come out, the more likely it is that they're not all going to last because there's only so many people out there putting money into all these things. So if you've got a million different own forks, if people stop bonding on one, if that treasury is not big enough to be self-sustainable, it's just not going to last. Okay, so it's only good while people are being involved in the DAO. Okay, so I think Wonderland's at that point now where they're big enough that they can be self-sustainable. Okay, like Ohm. Ohm's big enough. Okay, if you look at the Ohm, okay, the Ohm treasury is at 774 million. Right, so Wonderland has caught up to Ohm. Right, so their treasury balance is now the same as Ohm. Okay, which is just nuts. Right, so the fact that they have caught up to Ohm, obviously Ohm have a lot more other things going on. Ohm's trying to be the reserve currency of DeFi in general. Time's trying to be the reserve currency of gaming, right? So it's slightly different what they're doing. But you see the index on Ohm and how they've been around, is up to 35 now. Right, so for every 1 Ohm you staked originally, you've now got 35. Wonderland's, okay, their current index is 3.7. Okay, so they're a lot newer and they've already caught up to Ohm in terms of market cap and treasury value. I think a lot of that comes to just the fact that it's a lot cheaper to get into, and because the APY is a lot higher, a lot of people are jumping into it. Okay? But the key thing to look at is if you look here at, okay, so the market value of the treasury assets and then the market cap. All right, so Ohm is 4.4 times the market value of the treasury assets to the market cap. Okay, and then time, if you go treasury balance to market cap, it's about 3.8. Right, so it's still slightly undervalued compared to Ohm. But if you look at klima and you look at their sort of ads, there's the treasury, there's the market cap. Klima's at 6.5. Right, so klima is a bit more overvalued compared to these. It's slowly getting better. It used to be at about a 10, but now that the price has sort of dropped down a bit more and it's in there, it's still pretty good. Right, but that's why I took a bit of profits on my klima when it was up at around 2,500-3,000 per coin, because the ratio between the treasury assets and the market cap was just way out compared to Ohm and things like that. Okay, so as long as time, like Ohm's obviously the main one that it all started with, so the fact that time is actually slightly underpriced compared to Ohm, to me means it's sitting fine. Okay, like it's on track to keep expanding, doing what they're doing. And if you listen to that interview with Daniele, you can see that he wants to bring utility to it and things like that, which is just going to make it pump. Right? And then, if you go to the charts and you see, we've just sort of been ranging here, okay? The fact that we've just been doing all this ranging and the whole time we're doing this, the treasury keeps growing. I don't think we're going to see a big drop happen again. Yes, we're going to see a bit of profit taking and things like that. But a 10% drop, you're making 10% every 5 days now, guys. So you've got to drop more than 10% in 5 days for it to be worth you selling and rebuying. All right, so if you want to get in this, I'd suggest just dollar cost average in slightly. But if you just get in now, like you look at this backing per time, okay, this is what keeps going up. So at the moment it's $1,700. This was $1,000 not too long ago. So the last time that this hit 10K and then retraced, the backing was lower. Okay, so now that we're coming up here, the backing's higher. So every time we're testing this 10K level, the backing per time is getting higher and higher. Right, so once this gets over 2,000 and starts getting up to 2,500, the value of this should be a lot higher, right? Because if you look at the backing per ohm, okay, it's only $166, right? So that's, if we get the calculator out, and we'll go 815 divided by 166. Okay, so that's 4.9 times the backing per ohm. And then if you go to Wonderland at the moment, and if you go 4.9 and then you times that by 1,700, okay, so 8.4, right? So slightly overvalued at the moment, but not by much. Okay, it's only by about $1,000. Okay, but the APY is a lot higher, so people are factoring that in to the fact that they're knowing that this is gonna, if they pull back to that, everyone will be jumping in. So it's not much out. It's only $1,000 out, which is pretty good. Okay, but once this backing per time catches up, and then it's back at the 4.9, then it's perfectly priced again. Okay, but that pullback from 9.3, if it pulled back to same as ohm, you're only looking at a 10% drop. You're going to make that in the next 5 days. So if it doesn't pull back to 8.4 for say a week, even though you're buying in at a cheaper price, if it pulls back to that, you could have bought and then made that back in the APY. So it's a tough one to sort of call when's the right time to buy in. I think if you're holding, for at least, say 3 to 6 months time, you got nothing to worry about in terms of when you're planning to buy in with something like that. But yeah, that's sort of the main reason why we think that time's best play. And then from this, there's a lot of the smaller little ones that we've got little bits and pieces of money in. So we'll do a few videos on those. But I just wanted to sort of explain that now that Wonderland is getting into the gaming, so they're going to be bringing real utility to this. They also want to use this to invest in games and things like that. Like, he's got a lot of plans there, right? If you have a look into, we're going to do a video soon on Abracadabra Spell, and we're going to do one on Popsicle Finance and explain that to you guys. And the fact that he's got his face behind all these products, you can just see that he's a DeFi genius. Okay, what he's doing with Magic Internet Money, with MIM, and what he's doing with Popsicle Finance is just great. So the fact that he's willing to put his name to it, and he's got proof that he knows what he's doing with DeFi, it gives him recognition for him to go get these partnerships with things like Super Farm. And then, he said he also wants to get involved with other gaming protocols. So yeah, everyone knows, I think the crypto gaming space isn't going to explode. So the fact that time's going to start pushing into that space, I think it's the best DAO going. Okay, with how big the treasury is, the vision of going into crypto gaming. Yeah, I'm super bullish on this. Of course, I'm going to keep accumulating some of the other DAOs as well. But for now, out of all the DAOs, my biggest bag is now in Wonderland. Right? So if you have any questions, let us know. I know there's so many videos out there on Wonderland, so I didn't really want to dive into all the super basic things about it. Yeah, I just want to give you my quick little perspective as why I think this is the best DAO play, and like everything, I want to sort of compare it to Olympus stats, because Olympus is, the main one. Everything's based on what Olympus DAO is doing, right? So the fact that our treasury is pretty high, our backing per time to time price is pretty well on point. I mean, tiny bit overvalued, but hey, that only 10% drop, you make that in 5 days. Right? So if it was, say, 30 or 40% out, I might be a little bit worried. But the fact that even if it drops down to the exact same ratio as ohm, you're only talking, 5 days APY, and you're sorted. So I'm happy with that. Right? And it's still very early days, right? So anyone that's pretty heavily invested already, I'd go have a look at this interview. And yeah, it's great. He talks about his other things there too. So here you go, founder of Time. He also talks about Abracadabra and Popsicle Finance in this as well. So you'll hear him talk about all of them. But yeah, we'll put another video out soon. And yeah, let us know if you've got any questions. All right, thanks guys.